Nahuli mo na ba sarili mo doing this? Na may gusto kang i-post online, pero before mo i-click yung publish, bigla kang napapaisip, what will people say kaya? What if they don't like it? What if they think I'm not good enough? Or maybe it's not in social media, maybe it's in your business. You want to raise your prices, you want to say no, you want to set a boundary, you want to try something new, pero biglang may boses sa isip mo, ano kayang iisipin nila? And suddenly, something you were ready to do becomes difficult. You hesitate, you delay, you overthink, you avoid. Parang gusto mong gawin pero parang may humihila sa'yo pabalik. If you've ever experienced that, you're not alone. And today, I want to talk about why we worry so much about what people think. Because most people think that the problem is confidence. Pero often, the real problem goes much deeper than that. And when we understand what's really happening inside our minds, we can start responding differently. Not by becoming selfish, not by becoming insensitive, but becoming more free. Most of us were taught that when life gets harder, the answer is to think harder. But many of the biggest breakthroughs in my life didn't come from thinking more. They came from understanding the mind and learning how to quiet it. If you're a business owner, leader, or professional dealing with stress, uncertainty, and the challenges that come with growth, you're in the right place. In this podcast, I share realizations about life, work, and the mind, and how quieting the mind helps us think more clearly, make better decisions, and take focused, effective action. Welcome to Realizations with Clarissa. Dati akala ko worrying about what people think was a sign that I cared. And in some ways, that's true. Kasi caring about people is not a bad thing. Wanting to do a good job is not a bad thing. Wanting to be kind is not a bad thing. Wanting to be respected is not a bad thing. Wala namang masama doon. The problem starts when our emotional well-being becomes dependent on other people's approval. When our decisions become controlled by other people's reactions. When our peace of mind disappears every time someone disagrees with us. When our confidence rises and falls based on what other people say. And many high-performing people experience this. Business owners, leaders, professionals, people who are responsible, people who care deeply, and especially people who genuinely want to help. Kasi kadalasan, mababait na tao ang pinaka-apektado nito. Because underneath the worry are often some very common mental habits. And let's look at a few of them. One of the biggest reasons we worry about what people think is because part of our mind is constantly evaluating. Evaluating ourselves, evaluating our performance, evaluating our mistakes, evaluating whether we're good enough. And if we're already judging ourselves harshly, if we're already hard on ourselves, we become very sensitive to the possibility that other people might judge us as well. Think about that for a moment. Kasi if you're already criticizing yourself internally, it makes sense na criticism from someone else feels highly likely and it feels threatening. Your mind starts thinking, what if they see what I see? What if they notice my mistakes? What if they realize I'm not as capable as they think? And suddenly, you're no longer focused on serving. You're focused on protecting yourself. Another pattern that often shows up is the desire to keep everyone happy. And that sounds like a beautiful quality because kindness is important, generosity is important, helping people is important. But sometimes the desire to help becomes the need to be liked. And that's very different. And the belief often sounds like this: if people approve of me, then I must be doing the right thing. At minsan hindi natin namamalayan na ang goal na pala natin ay hindi na gawin ang mga bagay na importante at kailangan. Ang goal na pala natin ay huwag makadisappoint. And the mind promises peace, it promises connection, it promises acceptance and love. But what actually happens? Ayan na, you say yes when you mean no. Kahit pagod ka na, kahit wala ka ng oras, kahit ayaw mo naman talaga, you still say yes, you overcommit, you avoid difficult conversations, you hide your true opinion. So you become exhausted. And ironically, people may respect you less because they don't know where you stand. And so the very strategy designed to create connection can actually weaken genuine connection because real relationships require honesty, authenticity, not constant approval seeking. And sometimes the worry is not about being liked. Sometimes it's about being right naman or getting everything right. And the thinking behind that sounds like, oh, I need to do this properly. I can't make mistakes. I need to be fully prepared first. It has to be excellent before I show this to anyone. And again, the promise sounds reasonable kasi the mind says, oh, if I make this perfect, nobody can criticize me. But does that actually happen? Not really, di ba? Because perfection is impossible. No matter how good something is, somebody will have a different opinion. Somebody will disagree. Somebody will prefer another approach. So instead of creating confidence, perfectionism often creates more anxiety, more checking, more overthinking, more delay, more pressure, and less action. And for some people, the worry about what others think is connected to achievement. There's the belief that sounds like, my value, my self-worth comes from my results. I need to prove myself. I need to succeed. I need people to see that I'm doing well. So the mind becomes focused on external validation, mga likes, mga follow, mga comments, sales, recognition, titles, status. Kapag maganda ang results, okay ang pakiramdam mo. Kapag hindi maganda ang results, parang bumababa rin ang tingin mo sa sarili mo. Because your worth has become attached to performance. The promise is confidence, pero yung resulta, fragile. Up and down, because confidence built on achievement disappears whenever achievement is threatened or slows down. And here's something many people don't notice. These mental habits often lead to avoidance. Hindi ka naman tamad, hindi ka naman kulang sa potensyal, pero madalas natatakot ka lang sa possible judgment, rejection, o criticism. So you don't make the offer. You worry about disappointing someone. So you avoid the conversation. You worry about making mistakes, so you delay taking action. The mind thinks it's protecting you, pero actually it's keeping you stuck. And this is one of the biggest misconceptions. Kasi most people think na avoidance of that uncomfortable task reduces stress. Pero actually, it increases stress. Kasi the conversation still exists. The decision still exists. The problem still exists. And now you've added anxiety on top of it kasi ina-avoid mo yung kailangang gawin. And at this point, some people might be thinking, but Clarissa, other people's opinions do matter. And I agree. Hindi ko sinasabing huwag ka nang makinig sa ibang tao. Hindi rin ibig sabihin na wala ka ng pakialam. Magkaiba ang caring at people-pleasing. Some opinions matter, feedback matters, wise counsel matters, customers matter, of course, family members matter, mentors matter. But that's different from becoming emotionally controlled by every opinion. There's a difference between listening to feedback and living in fear of feedback. There's a difference between considering people's perspectives and constantly seeking their approval. The goal is not to stop caring. The goal is to care without becoming controlled. The goal is to listen without losing yourself. The goal is to learn without attaching your worth to other people's opinions. So ano ba talaga ang alternative? The alternative is not becoming tougher, na pretending you don't care. It's not becoming cold. The alternative is learning to notice these mental habits when they show up. The urge to please everyone, the urge to prove yourself, the urge to be perfect. Notice the fear of criticism, notice the fear of rejection. And instead of automatically obeying those thoughts, mag-pause ka muna and ask yourself, what action would I take if I was not trying to earn approval right now? What action would I take if I trusted myself a little more? What action would serve people best? Because often the answer is very simple. I-post mo na yung content, have that conversation, set that boundary, make the offer, tell the truth kindly, take the next step. Not because everyone will approve, but because it's aligned with what's needed, what's important, and who you want to be. At habang tumatanda ako, mas nare-realize ko to na hindi mo kontrolado ang iniisip ng ibang tao. No matter what you do, some people will approve. Some people will not approve. Some people will understand. Some people will not understand. And that's okay. Because your job is not to manage everyone's opinion. Your job is to manage your own mind, to show up with integrity and authenticity, to keep learning and growing and serving, and to stop handing your peace of mind to other people's reactions. Because the moment your peace of mind depends on universal approval, peace becomes impossible. And if this episode resonated with you, you may have recognized some of these patterns in yourself. Yung mga nasabi kong patterns kanina, lahat yon na-experience ko. The tendency to seek approval, the fear of criticism, the pressure to prove yourself, the habit of avoiding uncomfortable actions. Awareness is an important first step, but awareness alone does not always create change. That's why I created the Mental Fitness Challenge. Mental fitness is the capacity to face challenges with a positive mindset imbes na negative mindset. And in this challenge, the 7-day Mental Fitness Challenge, you will discover some of the hidden mental patterns that influence your decisions, stress levels, your performance, and relationships. More importantly, you will learn practical ways to stop being pushed around by those patterns so you can take action with greater confidence and less mental drama. And if you'd like to learn more, you will find the link in the description. Thank you for listening. And remember, you don't need everyone's approval to move forward. You only need the courage to take the next step. Kung nakaka-relate ka sa episode na to, follow or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. And if you know someone who might find this helpful, feel free to share it with them. And thank you for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next episode of Realizations with Clarissa. And keep building your mental fitness. Because a stronger mind helps us live better and work better.